hear it? The thunder above. It has roamed the sky since the beginning. It remembers Mannahatta, the island of many hills. Today, nearly 2 million call it home. The Big Apple, the concrete jungle, Gotham, the island at the center of the world. It was not always so. When Henry Hudson made landfall in 1609, New York supported more ecological diversity per acre than Yellowstone. The island was home to more birds than the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and an extensive network of trails connected one of the oldest Algonquin cultures in the Northeast, the Lenape, who saw themselves as of the land, but never the owners of it. Look to the sky. Listen to its song. Explore a city as it might have been, and discover life among the steel and concrete. The green heart of New York still beats. At the corner of Lafayette and Franklin, a small reflecting pool pays tribute to the freshwater oasis that once sustained life in Lower Manhattan. Collect Pond Park is all that remains of a 5-acre basin, carved by glaciers, fed by springs, ringed by wooded hills and marshland. On the banks of 1609, a storm gives way to dawn over the pond. The crow takes flight, following a stream that meanders from the pond's southern shore past a Lenape encampment on its way to the East River. The arrival of Dutch and British settlers transformed the collect. It became stagnant with runoff from slaughterhouses and tanneries. Canals were built to drain the polluted waters along the path we now call Canal Street, and by 1812, a grand jury agreed to bury the pond. But we listen, and we remember the thrum of life in Mannahatta. We go north. From Collect Pond Park, the High Line snakes its way through Chelsea. This elevated park was built on the bones of New York Central Railroad, the West Side Line, which fell into disrepair during the 1950s and 60s. But beneath these tracks and city streets, deeper secrets are buried. Stepping through time, this was once the shoreline, the river that flows both ways. Osprey and ring-billed gulls soar above. A breeze from the south carries hints of salt water. As Mannahatta transformed into Manhattan, these sandy beaches were fortified and paved to accommodate growing populations. But development doesn't have to mean desolation. In recent years, the High Line has welcomed the return of native plants, insects, and birds. The park is a shared pathway between ecosystems, trafficked by city dwellers and tourists, home to New York's natural inhabitants. Our journey continues on Manhattan's Upper West Side. Conservation means development as much as it does protection. Etched into the marble walls of New York's Museum of Natural History, Theodore Roosevelt's words underline the importance of places like the High Line. An estimated 5 million people pass through this lobby each year to explore the wonders of our world, past, present, and future. How many consider the natural history of the place itself? The forested highlands of Mannahatta. Marshes fill the valley below. Wildflowers flood the meadows. Wolves and black bears prowl the rolling hills. And the crow takes flight. Central Park is a pale reminder of the woods and wetlands that used to blanket this area. And yet the park is vital to life in the city. A green oasis for migratory birds, a safe haven for endangered bees, a backyard wonderland for millions of New Yorkers. Our journey ends at the northern edge of the island. Inwood Hill Park, the oldest forest on Manhattan. While there is no escaping the sound of the city, this is the closest example to what New York was like in 1609. Light streams through a grove of chestnut, oak, and hickory. Rich soil, freshwater springs, and protected caves make this an ideal home for life on the island. The Lenape lit fires to clear the underbrush and move wildlife on the hunt. This was one of the most active human habitats on Mannahatta, though it remains one of the least developed areas of Manhattan. We are woven into the natural fabric of New York, where the human footprint is most visible. And yet, the average New Yorker consumes less energy and produces less waste than Americans elsewhere. Cities are ecosystems of people, plants, and animals. Our future depends on cohabitation in urban environments. We must cherish the green and gray places where life thrives.